Hello everyone, my name is Ivo and welcome to Cooking with the Koyas. I am so glad that you joined me today because I am going to share with you how I prepare and make my homemade Italian tomato sauce, the classic version. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe because I have a lot more recipes coming your way. And then of course, click on that little bell icon. But we're going to get started. The very first ingredient, virgin olive oil. And how much virgin olive oil to use? Well, I like to say use enough olive oil to completely cover the bottom of your pan. And when you think you have enough olive oil, don't be afraid, add a little bit more because olive oil is one of the key ingredients to making a fantastic tomato sauce. All right, now I'm gonna heat that up. The next ingredient, very important, I have minced up some garlic. As you can see, I have my own garlic here. I grow my own garlic and it keeps very well over the winter. But I have minced 1 clove of garlic. You could use 1 or 2. I like to mince it because it's going to infuse in with the olive oil and it's going to flavor that olive oil very, very nicely. And then as the sauce cooks, it's going to actually melt and absorb into that sauce. So it's not like you're going to be eating a big chunk of garlic. This is the best way to get the flavor. And I like to add this in first because what I want to do is I want to flavor that olive oil with the garlic before I add anything else. So we're just going to let that cook for about 30 to 60 seconds and then we'll start adding more ingredients. Okay, so again, only 30 to 60 seconds. You do not want to brown your garlic. You just want it to infuse into the olive oil. The next thing, I cut up 1 bell pepper. It's a sweet red bell pepper. And we're going to add the bell pepper next. And again, that's going to also flavor that olive oil. And I'm going to leave that in there just for about 30 seconds again. We'll get that to cook a little bit with the garlic. Okay, and I'm just cooking this on medium heat right now. And again, all we're doing right now is flavoring the olive oil. So the next flavor to add, I've got an onion here. You could use any onion, a sweet onion. I'm using a red onion today. I'm going to cut it in half. In fact, I'm going to cut it in quarters. I'll just cut it in quarters. And we're going to put these in. And we're going to let those cook as well. And then we're going to add maybe just another 30 seconds. Just let them cook just a little bit. And then we're going to add some more ingredients. Okay, so this is cooking up really nicely. Now it's time to add our meat. So I've got 5 meatballs here, and as you can tell, they're a little still frozen. I just took them out of the freezer. I made them myself. They're my own homemade meatballs. I'll share that recipe with you one day. And I'm just going to put these in frozen. If you have fresh ones, just put them in fresh. It's whatever works. But these frozen, they will cook up by the time the sauce is ready with no problem at all. So now I've got my meatballs in there. Now it's time to add what I'm going to call my secret ingredient. And this is the key to making a very, very good sauce. In addition to the preparation, what I just did, I'm going to use some lamb. Lamb flavors the sauce like you cannot imagine. It is absolutely fantastic. And normally I put 1 piece in, but this was also previously frozen. It's lamb for stew, but you could use any pieces of lamb that you have. And just put those in and brown the lamb and the meatballs with the veggies. Just brown them just a little bit before we add our tomato sauce. So we're just going to let that cook for a few minutes and we'll turn it just for a few minutes. But the lamb is the key. Okay, so it's been about 3 minutes now and we've got our meat has just browned ever so slightly. But what it's done, again, it's flavored that olive oil. That olive oil is now just enhanced with so much flavor. And that is going to help make a phenomenal, phenomenal sauce. Speaking of sauce, next up. All right, I have my own sauce here. This is called, actually, I'll show you what you typically buy from the store. They'll come in a jar like this, and it's called, I got this particular brand, but any brand will do. But I got it because I wanted to show you that it's actually called strained tomatoes but it also says on the bottom here, Passata di pomodoro. Pomodoro just means tomato in Italian. So it's referred to as passata. Some might be called passata. Some might be called strained tomatoes. It's the same thing. And it's basically just straight tomato with no seeds and no skins. So it's actually quite nice to use. So I'll use one of each today. I'll use the store one and I'll also use mine. And just pour it right in. Pour your sauce right in. I'll get a spatula and I won't waste any of that. I'll get all of that out for sure. And then I've got my own homemade passata. And I'm going to add that too. Okay, there we go. Now, I'm going to mix it a little bit. Time now to add the rest of your ingredients, and then that's it for the work. Because after that, all it has to do is simmer. So the next ingredients I'm going to add are going to be my spices. So I have some basil here. Tomato loves basil. I'm going to sprinkle a good teaspoon and a half of basil. Then I have my own oregano. Of course, I grow my own oregano and then I dry it and then use it all year round. So I'm going to grab, that's probably about a tablespoon, maybe a little less. There's a tablespoon for sure of oregano. And what I like to do is I like to see, after I mix it all in, I want to see that nice green flecks in the sauce. And that's how I know I've got enough spice, because tomato loves oregano and basil. So you can't really add too much. There's no such thing, because it's just delicious any way you want to cut it. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good, but I'm going to add just a bit more oregano. There we go. All right. Now, that is the start of your classic Italian tomato sauce. Now what I like to do, this is optional if you have it. I call these my scent enhancers. And if you have them, I've got 2 mushrooms here. These happen to be the brown, the little baby portobellas, but you could use any mushrooms you want. I'm going to add 2 mushrooms into the sauce, just straight in. And sun-dried tomato. I like to put 2 to 4 sun-dried tomato in there. These are, of course, ones that I bought dried and cured myself, but any sun-dried tomato that you get at the store is perfectly fine. And I'm going to add 3 sun-dried tomatoes to this sauce. And again, I call these my scent enhancers. They add that nice little extra flavor to the sauce. One more thing I'm going to add is a bay leaf. If you don't have a bay leaf, don't worry about it, but I'm going to add 1 single bay leaf. That goes in there, and that's it. This is looking nice. You can see all the green fleck, all the green spice on the top. Oh, one more thing we need to add is salt. So salt, for 2 jars of passata, I like to start off with 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm using sea salt. So really it's a half a teaspoon per jar. But again, it's salt to taste. So what I will do is, as this is stewing and cooking, I will taste it. And if I want more salt, I'll add more salt. But if you start off with just a half a teaspoon per jar, in this case 1 teaspoon total, you can adjust and always go up. You definitely can't go down. So there we go. Now, that's it. How easy was that? Put a lid on it. I'm going to let this simmer for 2 hours. And here's the thing. I'm going to come every 20 minutes or so and just give it a little stir and check up on it. And if your sauce is too liquidy, just take the lid off or take it off slightly and let it continue to cook, and that water will evaporate and you'll get a nice thick sauce. But when you're first cooking, I want all that meat to cook, so it's going to be lid on, at least for the first hour, nice slow simmer. But that's how easy it is to get your sauce started. We're going to come back and check on it. So don't go away. We're going to let it sit for a couple hours and look at the end result. All right, so our sauce has been simmering for about 2 hours now. I just want you to take a look at this. The house smells like Sunday dinner. It's phenomenal. Okay, you see here, I want to point out the olive oil. You see all this darkness here? That is the olive oil that's come to the top of the sauce. That's what you want to see when you're making your sauce. That's how you know if you've added enough olive oil. You want to see a little bit of that olive oil on top of the sauce. Okay, and now what we're going to do, we're going to take the meat out. So one of the beauties of putting meatballs and of course that key ingredient lamb in your sauce is you get to enjoy them afterwards. So what I like to do is take the meat out of the sauce. I'll leave all the vegetables in there, but I will take all the meat out. There we go, some beautiful meatballs. And again, we put them in frozen, but they're going to be completely cooked after simmering for 2 hours in with this sauce. All right, those are the meatballs. Now I know I have 2 pieces of lamb in here, and I'm going to tell you this lamb is going to taste absolutely delicious as well, as will the meatballs. Okay, one more piece of lamb, and there we have it. So this will now go on the table and be served. This, what I call my classic Italian tomato sauce, is now ready to be poured over your favorite pasta, whatever that may be. If it's the classic spaghetti and meatballs or penne or whatever pasta you've got, this sauce is ready. All you do is pour it on top and enjoy. And you can remember now how easy it was. It took us maybe 15 minutes to prep and get it started. Then it sat for 2 hours, and we've got ourselves a beautiful homemade Italian tomato sauce. Why would you go out and buy that canned stuff? So easy to make at home. Your house smells good. You got a great meal. You're going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it, that's for sure. We're going to have a great meal tonight. Enjoy some pasta with some fresh bread that I made a little bit earlier. And if you haven't seen that video, I actually made a loaf of bread last week. You can check it out. I'll put a link in the description for you. But by all means, folks, if you get an opportunity, give this classic tomato sauce a try. The way I cooked it, I really like it. I think you will too. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, bon appetit.